I can't move.
We are talking about Dreamcatcher. That's Catcher with a K. And this one is directed and co-written by Kerry Harris. And this one's got a pretty good cast, actually. You've got Radha Mitchell, Lynn Shay, and Henry Thomas. This movie is surprisingly similar to another movie that I watched the same day called The Lodge. It has a very, very similar setup. And the setup is as follows. We have this guy played by Henry Thomas who has lost his first wife through tragic circumstances, and they in this instance have one child, this young boy. In The Lodge there is two children, but so far it's pretty much the same. The husband has a new girlfriend, in this case played by Radha Mitchell, and they go out to this kind of old kind of like lodge house in the kind of the woods somewhere, and the father has to go away because of business, and the new girlfriend, played by Radha Mitchell, is left looking after this young child who doesn't like the new girlfriend because they feel like it's kind of replacing the mum and everything, and then the girlfriend has trouble and all this. However, there does seem to be that there is maybe a demonic presence kind of lurking in this Dreamcatcher, which is basically like this ornament which Lynn Shay's character has, who is kind of the neighbour, and this gets kind of into their house, and then it's essentially there's maybe some evil presence trying to influence this this young child, and it all ends, you know, it's quite a kind of a tragic and sad movie in a lot of ways, very much like The Lodge. It is surprisingly how similar these two films are. This one is a little bit more of an overt horror film, whilst The Lodge is more of a psychological thriller. That's really the difference here in this one. This one does have a degree of kind of more special effects involved, as there is this kind of more of a overt kind of supernatural presence in this one. First of all, what works? Okay, so here's the thing with this movie. I was really impressed with the child actor here. Let's have a look. Finley Wojtak-Hissong. Great little child actor, and I actually think he impressed me more than the kids in the Lodge movie. But I thought this kid is younger and just does a great job. I mean, he really did a decent job of seeming kind of cute, but also menacing when he needed to. And sometimes you think, is he kind of menacing, or is he just kind of like, is it just happened to be like an innocent mistake? I thought he did a great job here. I think Radha Mitchell does a pretty good job here. It's the kind of the girlfriend. In both of these movies, I've got to say, I think what is the kind of the motivation? What is the kind of the message of this movie? And it's like, okay, woman, if you don't date a guy whose wife has died and they've got young kids, because both of these movies tell you bad things will happen. And I have to be honest with you, with this film, I was like, why isn't Radha Mitchell out of there, to be honest? Because it just seems crazy what's going on with this one. And I felt like and to be fair, in both films, the reason why the father is pulled away seems a little bit hard to believe. It just seems like this is a new girlfriend looking after your child, where there's clearly a problem. Would you leave them in a remote location where they just kind of get on with it? It just seemed a little bit hard to believe. And Henry Thomas's character is really unsympathetic, I have to say. I quite like the effects of the supernatural stuff that happens in this movie, although it happens extremely late in this movie. This movie, like The Lodge, is a slow burn. It does have a more of a quote-unquote exciting ending, I would say, a bit more of a kind of a, like I say, more of a spectacle in the ending, but it comes really late. this movie needed to have more of the kind of the threat peppered throughout the movie, and making itself more apparent earlier in the movie, because it just takes way too long to get there. And the movie it seems a little cheaper, not quite as well made as the kind of Lodge. I mean, these two are such a similar movie. I mean, the threat is different, but other than that, they have such a similar setup, to be honest. And then, like us, Lin Shay and Henry Thomas barely they're barely in the movie, if I'm honest. It's the Rhonda Mitchell show here. But she does a fine job, to be fair. I don't know, this one to me, it feels long, but it's not as long as The Lodge, in a weird way. This one feels more B-movie-like. It doesn't quite have the artistry and the maturity of The Lodge, and it ends up being a bit more schlocky, but has a lot of the same problems that The Lodge has. It's not a bad film, and I did like the effects, and the young boy was good in it, I have to say. So I'm going to it's such a similar film, and they have, but this one, it has a little bit more. It's not quite as long. There's a little bit more going on towards the end, maybe, but it's not as mature and not as poignant as The Lodge. But they're such similar films, well made, but kind of forgettable. Have you seen either of these movies? Please let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.